Hey everybody, I'm going to talk about 1-2, different types of data. Key concept. A major use of statistics is to collect and use sample data to make conclusions about populations. We talked about that in 1-1. A parameter is a numerical measurement. Numerical means it's a number. So numerical measurement describing some characteristic of a population. Here is the key word for parameter, population. The difference between a parameter and a statistic is, notice everything else is the same, except this statistic has to do with a sample. We're not actually going to talk to every person in the population. We're going to randomly select a subset of that population, and we're going to make inferences about the population. Quantitative data is numeric data. It consists of numbers representing counts or measurements. If I were to say that my student ID number is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, it does consist of numbers, but it doesn't necessarily have any measurement to it, because there's numbers that are bigger than that, there's numbers that are smaller than that, but it has no real meaning, the actual numbers. It just represents me, my ID number. The example I just gave you is not quantitative because it doesn't really measure an amount. Quantitative data measures amounts. Even if it has numbers and doesn't measure amounts, it's not quantitative. We can say an example is weights. The weights of supermodels is an example of quantitative data. The numbers represent a value, a count, or ages. Ages also, they're quantitative, they're numeric, and they mean something. I can put them in order. I can say how much older someone is than someone else. The numbers for these two actually mean something. Whereas for my student ID, I wouldn't subtract your student ID number from my student ID number. I would come up with a number, sure, but it has no meaning. That would not be quantitative. Categorical data. Categorical or qualitative or attribute data. Qualitative, we can say it consists of names or labels, not numbers representing counts or measurements. For an example, the gender male, female, is qualitative. It's actually an attribute. Being male or female, you can't put them in order. Shirt numbers on professional athletes. I can subtract them, I can add them, but they have no meaning other than the actual number themselves. Working with quantitative data. Quantitative data can be further described by distinguishing between discrete and continuous. So what is the difference between discrete and continuous? Discrete data results when the data values are quantitative, so they have to actually be a number that means something, and the number of values is finite. Finite means it's countable, which is opposite of infinite, which is uncountable. It just keeps going on forever. One example is the number of tosses of a coin before getting tails. That's an example, but I don't think yet we've described what discrete data is. Discrete data would be counting chairs. I would count 1, 2, 3, 4. Maybe I have 10 chairs. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. This is discrete. Why is it discrete? It's because if I were to graph it, here's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And if I were to graph these numbers, I would have a point here, 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 and here. This is discrete. Notice I can't have really anything between 1 and 2. I can't have 1.5 chairs or 1 1/4 chairs. Discrete values take on specific values. Something that would not be discrete would be continuous. Notice here, there's only these dots for every chair that I have. But for the next one, continuous is still numerical data, but there's infinitely many possible quantitative values where the collection of values is not countable. For example, if I were to draw a number line here, and now this represents the length, and this is 0, and this is 12, and let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. That's pretty good. I know I can subtract 12 minus 3 if I want to find the distance between 2 points. And this is 3 and this is 10. The length would be 7. I would have 7. But I could also say between 3.1 and 10, which would be 6.9, and so on. There's no length that I can't get, because if I take a tape measure, it starts at 0, and I could have any number in here. It doesn't have to be a whole number. It doesn't have to be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Think about your weight. Does your weight only fluctuate in pounds? You could gain a half a pound, you could gain a quarter pound, you can lose a quarter pound, you can lose a half a pound. If we had a fantastic scale, you might find that you're losing and gaining ounces all during the day. It is continuous. You can have any value between 0 and 12.